Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for July 11, 2024. We're going to be talking about some fantasy football news stories in general, like what to trust and what to not believe. So we're going to get into all that. Interesting topic discussion. We touched on a bit last week, but we're going to get into it more in this episode. So looking forward to it. Before we get to that and our co-host, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be appreciated. As you can see, we have a ton of t-shirts here that are available, and $18, $19 for high quality t-shirts I think are a good deal. And yeah, I mean it's July 11th, so it's almost August, and you can get your Gluttony Month shirts here for $19.55. You get 15% off of the code, which is it's already implemented there. But yeah, it's it is important to celebrate gluttons in August. So that you can show your support here. Make sure they have their rights. Gluttony rights are a thing. Gluttony rights are human rights. So get your T-shirt here. Should make a shirt about that too. That would be a great way to support the show. Also, super chats, super stickers. We had a couple of super chats yesterday from Slew and John Sanders. It's really appreciated, and it really helps keep the show going because YouTube ads pay nothing. So yeah, we've had other great ones from DJ Anon, Kevin Kovac, Germ. Like, you guys have been so awesome with your contributions. So anything like that today or going forward would be really appreciated. Also, you can support the site with the show by going to Amazon and buying my book, Jerks of the College Years. If you like Jerks of the Week, this is basically the same thing. It's just from my college years. Kind of scary to think 20 years ago almost that I graduated. But yeah, these are my stories from Penn State. 6 years spent at Penn State. Kind of crazy. I ran into a bunch of weird people, as you can see on the cover here. So without further ado, we are joined by Kenny Ortiz, the owner of thecapsfake.com. Kenny, how are you?
Bro, I am living the dream. I'm just satisfying my soul with a little black cherry carbonated water here. It's fantastic. I'm on a little keto diet because I'm a fatty and I need to lose weight. So I'm feeling great, man.
Nice. Is that like is that just regular carbonated water? Or is that like brain fuel or something? Is that like because I actually have that on my desk.
It's just water. No sugar, no nothing. It's just carbonated water.
Okay. Yeah, I bought something called like Vault. It's also like black cherry. That's why I thought of it. It's called like Brain Fuel. It's carbonated, but it doesn't have sugar or anything like that. It actually tastes like kind of decent, but it's supposed to like invigorate your brain and like and make you alert and stuff like that and increase your memory. Like the first night I took it, I was like super sharp, but I drank it last night. I felt like kind of woozy still. It didn't, so it's like a 50-50 like 50% effectiveness so far, but we'll see. So yeah, we'll get into all that. If you guys have any comments, questions, just leave them here. We'll get into everything. And yeah, it doesn't have to be about this topic, it doesn't have to be about football. We'll just you know how we do, we'll answer everything. So Kenny, you came up with this topic. Kind of like I said, we talked about it before, but you wanted to turn it into a complete episode, and I thought it would be interesting thing to talk about. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how you wanted to begin. I know you have 6 or something stories that you wanted to get to see if like, hey, we should trust this or we should just dismiss it. And then I can read off some news stories as well. So if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I've got 9 total. I got 8 with one caveat. So I can't count apparently. I told you 6. I have 8.
Yeah, and I was like, where'd you get these news stories from?
Okay. I'm going to start with, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, or it was last week before, when I was like, I don't trust any training camp reports. Like, I think generally fantasy football owners put too much stock in like what the coaches say in the offseason, training camp reports. And it happens every year. I mean, every single year, like there's all this like buzz, like, oh, so such and such player is killing it. He's amazing. And like their stock goes up multiple rounds and end up not panning out, or vice versa. I've given examples. Like the most egregious example over the last couple of years to me is Jamar Chase. I mean, the number of reports that came out about Jamar Chase that summer, I'm not exaggerating. There have been at least 20 different reports over the course of a month that he was just terrible, couldn't run routes, he was dropping everything. I mean, every day it seemed like our beat reporter was saying, yeah, Jamar Chase is just dropping passes. Jamar Chase is one of the greatest wide receiver talents we've ever seen. So like clearly, like I generally think if you ignored 100% of the training camp reports, you would be better than those who tried to figure out which ones are true. Like I generally think like just close your ears and don't listen to any of it, and you'll be fine. Like that's my general opinion. But I think every year going into the season, I think it's valuable to stop and say like, okay, what would be the things that would move the needle for me? Like if I heard what like, and it's pretty rare. There's very few things. So I went all 32 teams. I went through all the depth charts. I kind of thought through what would move the needle for me. And you know, to me, you know, I'm sure we're going to hear from how ahead of the curve Caleb Williams is. We're going to hear, oh, Jaden Daniels is so great and he's running all over the place, and people are going to draft him like he's a top 6 quarter. I mean, like those things are going to happen, but I don't believe in any of them. So that's I think they're most BS. So anyway, these are the things if I hear, I think I would actually believe. All right, so they're kind of in random order. I don't really have them ranked, but here's
real quick. It's funny you brought up Caleb Williams because I don't know if you remember. It's a couple of months ago, I think that yes, I think it was May or maybe early June. That, like he was really struggling, and he threw there's some reports saying he threw like 8 interceptions in a row in practice. And at first, because I have a Caleb Williams legendary in Rainmakers, and I was like, man, should I sell it? And then I kind of like thought of like, wait a second, this kind of reminds me of Jamar Chase. Actually, like that popped into my head. If I had a Jamar Chase legendary back then, I would have sold it probably. So yeah, I've learned my lesson. I in fact, like I think I was actually talking to Ben Wassey about it. He's like you should probably buy another one. And he's like, that's actually a good idea. So yeah, so go on.
And now that example with Jamar Chase is probably like it's the most egregious example. So you're not usually that bad. You know, it's not, but I'm old enough to remember when, you know, like Paul Turner was a training camp darling for the Eagles, and people thought this guy was going to like legitimately be pushed to be a starter for the Eagles, you know, back in 2016, 2017. And he got cut and he's never played in the NFL again.
I think like there are Philly fans like crying in the streets when Paul Turner got cut. Like it was like everyone loved him here and he got cut. It's like it's so stupid. I know like in any other league he probably wasn't drafted, but he was drafted like in like some of the fantasy leagues I was in. I'm in fantasy leagues with a lot of Eagles fans, so he was drafted. I remember he was drafted like in the 11th round in one league, like in an 18 round league, and I was like, Paul Turner in the 11th round? Are you kidding me? He's like, oh yeah, he's going to be he's going to be the number 2 receiver in the Chip Kelly rebound offense. Oh they're going to rebound and they're going to do great. And I'm like, Paul Turner, he literally didn't make it to the season. He got cut. Yeah.
So when he was a training camp darling, he was lighting it up in training camp, and the reporters couldn't get enough of this guy. It's like me with Justin Bieber, just loving him. Anyway, that's a different conversation for a different day. Okay, here's my.
You also, I have no idea what you just said.
So here's my caveat one. Okay, here's the one I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear anyone talking about Mr. Tank Dell. I want Tank Dell to fly totally under the radar. I want no reports about Tank Dell from anyone anywhere, because I have a fear that Tank Dell, by the way, whom I love going into this year. I went back and watched all of his highlights yesterday on Game Pass, of course, using a VPN, using the German version of Game Pass because the American version sucks. NFL ruined Game Pass, like Biden ruined the border. Anyway, that's a different guy. Anyway,
but not for the Germans, apparently.
So like this is I went back and watched, dude. If he's fully healthy, which I expect him to be healthy, coming into he is so good. He is such a clean route runner, and the fact that he is now on the depth chart, the 3rd receiver, I do have a feeling that Diggs there might be something with Diggs, and so I just have a funny feeling that Tank Dell is going to be the star in that offense, and that like we're going to get to week 4 or 5 and be like, oh my gosh, what a great pick. Like, But I just know Tank Dell is literally 1 or 2 training camp reports away from having his stock shoot up. And like, if he has one great preseason game and like he's got a couple good training camp reports, he's going to shoot up, right? Like I think he's going to go up, a round or 2 or more. Like, And I hope that doesn't happen. My hope is that no one talks about him. He flies under the radar. People kind of forget about him. My hope is that people are like, well, no one's really talking about him. Maybe he's not going to be a guy, I hope it gets the press because I'm going to want to snatch up Tank Dell in every league I'm in. So that's my first one. I hope no one mentions Tank Dell for the entire summer. How's that?
Oh yeah, no, I love it. I love Tank Dell. It's funny that Nico Collins is going 2 rounds earlier than Tank Dell on average, and Collins just versus Dell. I would rather have Dell, like regardless of round. Like I think Dell is the better player. So it's funny. It's funny that Dell is going 2 rounds later when they should be going around the same range. Diggs, I think you can make an argument, but he is older. You think he's 31 now. He slowed down at the end of last year. He could rebound to what he was in the first half of 2023. Like he could be a monster this season for sure. So I'd rather have Diggs than Collins. I think but I know that there is definitely downside with Diggs. I think Dell, despite the injury last year, like he might be the safest one. And I do think that he's healthy because I saw reports late last year that he actually could have came back for the playoffs potentially, but they ran out of IR. Like those IR spots where you can activate them again. Like they actually ran out of the spots, so they just couldn't activate him. So yeah, I have no concerns about his injury. So yeah, I like him a lot for sure.
Yeah, I hope that nothing is said about him because I hope they get a whole lot of him.
Yeah. John says trading Diggs is the dumbest move in Bean's tenure here. I mean, I don't like he didn't do much in the second half of last year. Maybe they just think that they can move on. And plus, he is 31. Like it's all downside from here on out, So I don't like it might be bad just for this year, but maybe long term it's not gonna be too bad. Yeah, he hasn't lost his step. No, I don't know if I don't know if he's lost a step, but he's 31. Like that's generally when receivers start declining. So like he could lose a step this year. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he just didn't contribute that much late last year. So,
I feel like it's hard to tell. I went a couple months ago. I went back and watched on Game Pass. I watched like all of his targets in the last part of the year, and there just weren't many. I've not gone back and like watched like all Bills games. So Sanders might know way better than me. I didn't watch every Bills game. I only saw a few of the games last year. It just seemed like they just didn't prioritize him in the offense. Like he wasn't a priority, and I guess I don't understand the why. And maybe we'll never know. It's just sometimes we just never know why teams do what they do, and it's impossible to know. But I wonder. I wonder if it's because they know something we don't know, and that does make me a little bit nervous.
Mm-hmm. Sue saying Diggs is on the wrong side of the bell curve. Yeah, for sure. Matthias saying Tank Dell 60-yard touchdown pass from CJ in preseason game 2 on the 5th play would ruin any hopes of late draft stock.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if they even play. Like a lot of these teams don't even play their starters, but who knows? Maybe they will. I mean, Stroud's only second year, Tank's only second year, so we'll see. I just don't know if they'll actually play their starters. A couple other questions here or comments. Matthias says reports. I just want to know who's playing with the first team and the number of reps. I don't care if the coach says it, they're doing good. So yeah, we'll get to some of that.
But even that though is like sometimes coaches give players opportunity with the first team, not because they intend to actually play the guy. They just want to give that guy there's all sorts of motivational reasons. They're just giving a starter. There are times where guys get chances with the ones and then never end up doing anything.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's indicative and sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm. So asking, I wonder if there are any training camp reports touting Puka Nacua last year. It's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head.
We should try to see if I'll try to see if I can find that. That's a good question.
Yeah. John says Diggs had an undisclosed injury last year that he suffered in England, and the relationship was too fractured between him and Allen. I think that there's a good chance that he suffered an injury because it was so weird that he just wasn't involved in the offense in the second half of the year. But like I said, I mean, he is 31. Like those injuries are going to happen more often now that he's in his 30s. So, and Mike says glad to see Diggs gone. So disagrees there. Harambe says, hell yeah, I got him in my Cooper League, so I'm excited for Tank Dell. Yeah, I would be as well. So, all right, you want to go with the next story?
All right, my next story. I want to. This would be okay. This is the first like real one here. If I hear this, it will change my opinion. So I'm thinking about the Chargers receivers situation, and I just don't know what to make of it. I just think there's a whole lot of warm bodies there that I just don't know what to do with. And you like Josh Palmer, and I don't know. I'm like Quentin Johnson. I'm like, I don't know. He didn't show me anything. There's just a bunch of warm bodies there. There's some guys that have question marks that we don't know. And there's some guys I think clearly stink. So to me, if we go in and we just hear a ton of overtly positive stuff about Ladd McConkey, that how do you pronounce his name? Anyway, like if Mr. Ladd here, like if all we hear from him nonstop is like, yeah, he's running with the ones. He's just catching everything. He looks phenomenal. He clearly is we need to hear multiple reports over and over again that he is clearly the best receiver in camp. If we hear that kind of stuff, then I will believe that he's going to be a substantial contributor from day one. And because I don't have any confidence in the rest of those guys, I could easily see him being the, maybe not quite the Puka Nacua type, but I could see him being the clear-cut number one receiver on the team, sooner rather than later. And so if we see those kinds of, right now I don't have Ladd McConkey drafted. I'm not going to draft him likely unless I'm drafting him like in the last round or something. But if I hear a drumbeat over and over and over again, I might be susceptible to move him up a few rounds. What do you think of
that? Yeah, it makes sense. I want to come away with one Charger receiver in my draft because, like, if you think about it, how many targets have been lost from the Chargers? From like this, yeah. I mean, Austin Eckler had a ton of targets. They're gone, and they're not going to throw to any of these running backs. None of these running backs are pass catchers. Keenan Allen soaked up so many targets. He's gone. Even like Gerald Everett, he's gone. Mike Williams, he didn't play that much last year, but for the few games that he played, he's gone. So these targets have to go somewhere. This is not like a Kansas City situation where we're like, oh, which receiver is it going to be? And end up being none of them because it's Travis Kelce. Like the Chargers don't have a Travis Kelce. Like they don't have anything at tight end. They don't have any pass catching running backs. It has the purpose passes have to go to the receivers. And so the question is like, who is it going to be? I think the favorite is probably McConkey, second round pick. And he's like, we've heard some reports, just a couple, and like maybe when training camp starts, we'll hear more. But yeah, I agree with that. I think if we hear overtly positive stuff about McConkey, I'm willing to move him up. But I think that like, would that apply to all like the other Charger receivers? Like, what if you hear great reports about Quentin Johnson? How like he's much different this year. He's so much better. He looks explosive. He's catching everything. Whereas like he had a lot of drop passes last year in the preseason.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that?
It would not. I'm still not touching the guy unless it's like. Nah, I don't want him. Like, so I think that's like those are the types. If you had a bunch of stuff with Quentin Johnson, I would just ignore it because it would not move the needle for me. Because I've seen that guy play in the NFL, and I'm just not convinced he's good. Now, it could have been an injury, it could be rookie, it could have been on a number of things, but I'm not interested in a guy like him.
Yeah, I was about to ask you like what's the difference there to McConkey and Johnson, and I mean you said it. It's like you've seen him play. He was worse than Darius Davis last year. Like I remember at the end of the year, like all the receivers were out, including Palmer, and like. It was like Quentin Johnson finally going to have a good game. I remember DFS people were touting him. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I can't do this. And like, I think Darius Davis outproduced them in the final game. It was so brutal. So I don't know. I'd have to see like a great preseason performance. And even then, I don't know. Like I'm willing to draft him with my final offensive pick. But like I don't have much hope in him. Like I said, I just want one of the Charger receivers. But in order for me, it's McConkey, Palmer, and then and Johnston. In that, and so, and even still, like Brendan Rice might vault ahead of Johnston, depending like what I see. I don't. I mean, I like Brendan. I like Brendan Rice coming out of school, out of USC. I had him in the 3rd, 4th round. He fell to the 7th round. So like people ask me like, oh, who's this year's Puka Nacua? I'm like, well, Puka Nacua is like a once in a generational type play, like oddity. Like you're never gonna see like a 3rd day receiver do something like that. But if there is one this year, I think it is Brendan Rice. So I think there are worse decisions to make, like than taking Rice in the final round. But I'd rather have McConkey than Palmer.
Yeah, I probably would rank Palmer ahead of Johnson. I don't know about Rice. Again, I haven't seen him play, so I don't know, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's someone who I've kind of soured on the preseason. Like that used to be so valuable. Like all the information you can get out of the preseason, but like now a lot of teams don't even play the starters, and like those that do don't take it seriously for the most part. Like, yeah, the Ravens do. John Harbaugh loves winning in the preseason, but like even still, he doesn't even play a starter. So it's like you just can't trust anything. But I still want to see like Brendan Rice do well in the preseason. Like maybe that'll motivate me to take him in the final rounds, but it's still going to take a lot, I think.
Yeah.
I'm like saying, who names their kid Lad? It's almost as bad as Urban or Baker. Actually, I just looked it up. His real name's Andrew. His middle name's Lad. I don't know. I mean, you could say who gives their child the middle name of Lad. I don't know. But still, it is Andrew. It is Andrew McConkey for those wondering. I had no idea. I just looked it up.
Interesting.
Yeah, Matthias says it depends where the reports come from. If it's CBS, you can just not read the report because they're garbage. Does it matter to you where the reports come from?
Pretty rarely, no, because like guys like CBS, they're not they don't have like beat reporters on the ground usually. They're just getting it from local guys mostly.
Yeah, I think if it's like Cecil Lammey from Denver, like anything he says. If it's Mike Jurecki from Arizona, I trust anything he says. Like there are a few guys out there that I'm like, yeah, I believe 100%. I'm willing to trust them. But yeah, if it's just CBS, ESPN, like the bland, like mainstream sports media, just I wouldn't trust them either.
It also depends on what they're like guys that have like legitimate connections with a team. And so like teams will, but like even then, like teams leak stuff for different reasons. So it's like, it's hard to navigate through it. And so you gotta figure out like why, like if someone from the Broncos are leaking stuff to a guy like Cecil Lammey for whatever the reason might be, that's different than Cecil Lammey watching the game and observing it himself.
Right.
Like what you're observing on the practice field, like there could just be so many things he doesn't know that could lead him to come to the wrong conclusion. And not that he's a bad guy. He could misunderstand what's happening on the field because he's not in the the video meetings. He's not in the film sessions so they go on the practice field. And I think about like the Eagles. Like the Eagles practices are like an hour and 15 minutes. The Giants, like it's like 2 hours. Like it's like what reporters actually see versus what's actually happening in the facilities is they only see such a small percentage of what actually happens.
Yeah.
But if a coach is like, man, this guy stinks, and he tells us Cecil Lammey, like, one of the assistants who's friends with him off the record says, hey, man, this kid doesn't got it, then that's a different story. And that's actually probably more reliable.
Oh, yeah. It's 100% reliable. It's great. Charlie Campbell has those type of sources as well. But, he uses it to, like, leverage draft info. But it'd be interesting to see if you could get anything fantasy-wise. Harambe says, crap, I drafted McConkey in my Dynasty League. His footwork looks amazing is all I've seen on Twitter. Passes the eye test at least. There have been some good reports about him. So, yeah, continued positive reports on McConkey for sure. And then John says PPR, I'd take my chance with McConkey. Yeah, I prefer – if it's PPR, I like McConkey. If it's standard scoring, I like Palmer. But it's close in standard at least. But I definitely like McConkey PPR. Nice. Mike says, how about Peerless Price? Do you remember that old Bills receiver? Just says maybe the Chargers of Roman just call run plays 100% of the time. I'm sure they would love that. But, yeah, they will be trailing in some games, so they're going to have to throw once in a while. But I do get what you're saying. Matthias says, which report for a player that you will drink the Kool-Aid and draft higher than usual? I mean, we'll get to all that.
I got a few.
Yeah, we'll get to all that for sure. John says, Peerless Price was a classic example of great receiver 2, couldn't cut it being receiver 1. I worry about that with T. Higgins. I thought T. Higgins in his first year was pretty good as a receiver 1, but then they drafted Jamar Chase. So like I don't like Higgins, obviously not as good as Chase, but I think he's like on the lower curve of I think if you were to rank all the receivers in the NFL, like I think Peerless Price. I think T. Higgins would be in the top 32, right?
Probably, yeah. I think he would probably be, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I think he's probably in the 20s. So I think, like I said, he's in the lower end of the.
Yeah, I mean he's probably the number one receiver on like a third of the teams in the league, at least, right?
Yeah. I mean, we can go through it at the end. Mega says Raiders coach has talked up second-year whiteout Trey Tucker. What do you guys think of him? I've heard some reports about Tucker. I think that I'd put that in the Paul Turner basket. What do you think?
Yeah, I would not spend any energy drafting Trey Tucker. That's my thoughts.
I feel like the only way Trey Tucker's on your roster is if like both Adams and Jacoby Myers go down, and then you're like, okay, who do they have left? And you pick up to Tucker. I wouldn't draft him. Cassandra, it's like, Kenny, if this is your last show, just tell us now, get it over with. Spare us the agony, Kenny. I don't know if you know, Jacob just had his last show with us on here last night.
Oh no, I did not know that.
Yeah, it sucks. So there's the joke here. So it is not Kenny's last show unless he hasn't told me. Okay,
no.
Good.
Oh, what a bummer. Okay, I'll have to shoot him a text message.
Yeah, it's sad to see Jacob go. Sue says 17 game season plus postseason, way too many games to play your players and phony practice games. The game is just too violent for the human body. Oh yeah, especially when you have to play on 3 days rest, which is so absurd. I don't know how they get away with that Thursday game. Like I feel like the players union has to negotiate that. We're like, no more Thursday games with 3 days off. Like if you want to give us Thursday games, we need a bye beforehand. Yeah, like just stop it with that. It's ridiculous. Cassandra says, I think Biden will drop out before Kenny. I think so too. I don't think Biden's running, by the way. I'd be surprised if he is.
Crazy.
Yeah. John says, unrelated, you can get Josh Allen to throw for over 4,000 yards and plus 145 at FanDuel right now. He's thrown for over 4,200 the last 4 years. I mean, the only thing you're worried about there is injury, right? But you should be able to get it.
Obviously.
Yeah. Why Jacob? Why? Yeah. It's sad. We'll try to move on. I put some feelers out there for people who could take over for Jacob's Tuesday spot, but it might go the route of Jeopardy, with replacing Alex Trebek, where I just cycle through people every week until you find someone. So that might be it. So, all right, what is your next story?
Okay, very similar to Lad McConkey, so I won't spend a lot of time, but it's Keon Coleman. It's the same, very, very similar situation. But a better quarterback. I think Josh Allen is significantly better than Justin Herbert. And so, I think I have the very similar idea. I don't know which of these guys it's going to be, of the Bills receiving core. The one major difference between the Chargers and the Bills, the Bills at least have someone that we know of that's been decent in the NFL. Curtis Samuel has produced some in the NFL. But the rest of the guys on the squad, I've seen them all. I've seen the Andy Isabella experiment. I've seen the KJ Hamler show. I've seen the Chase Claypool sequel and the Mac Hollins special and the MVS special. I've seen all this nonsense. These guys are bums, absolute bums, capital B. And so, in fact, top to bottom, I think the Chargers receiving core is better. I would trust the receiver. This receiving core is terrible. But they do have Curtis Samuel and a Khalil Shakir. I don't know what he is. Who knows? So to me, Keon Coleman is the guy that I wonder, is he the guy from day one, or could he be a significant contributor, early in the season? But we don't know. So if we have significant, like 4 or 5 different guys, at different times, because also what happens is one beat reporter will say something, and then 3 other guys will just parrot him. Mm-hmm. And then it gives the sense you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many great reports coming out. Well, not really. It's just one guy, really. But if 4 or 5 different guys that are reputable out of Buffalo camp, this summer come out and say, man, this Keon Coleman guy, there's great rapport. He's looking good. He's catching everything. Then that would move the needle. Right now, for me, he's undraftable. But if that were to happen, then I would look at, move him up a couple rounds. Maybe look at him in there, if I can get him in round 13 or something like that.
Yeah, I'd rather have McConkey than him. It's because, unlike the Chargers, where I was saying that the Chargers have no one at running back to catch passes. They have no one at tight end to catch passes. The Bills are different. They have Dalton Kincaid. Like he could be like Travis Kelce in 2022. Like he could have a monster year this season. They have James Cook who can catch a ton of passes out of the backfield. They have Dawson Knox has had some good seasons. So like they have other guys to catch passes. You mentioned Curtis Samuel. So like Keon Coleman, like he could have like a couple of decent games, but he could be one of those like inconsistent guys where he's relying on touchdowns. You can use his big frame to get passes in the end zone. So I would need more from Keon Coleman. I don't know if I'd draft him either. Maybe like final pick, as I said, something like that late. But yeah, I'd rather take a shot with one of the Charger guys.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, McConkey definitely is a better option.
Yeah. Mike says, I see more teams going to KC, Green Bay, Buffalo model, multiple decent receivers versus one superstar making $30 million per season that gets injured. Yeah, I mean, well, like it really depends on who you have, right? Like if you luck yourself into a Jamar Chase and get to draft him early, then you're obviously going to keep him, right. But like if you don't have that sort of talent, then it makes sense to go the other route. I
mean, I've got to be honest. There's only one of those teams that have won a Super Bowl with that model. So, I mean, and they happen to have the guy who might be the best ever to do it. With respect to Tom Brady, Patty Mahomes might go down as the best ever. So, any model works with that guy at quarterback.
Yeah, and the best coach in the NFL right now with Belichick out. So, it's a good.
I think they also have Travis Kelce, who is pretty much a wide receiver. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. That's definitely true. He basically served as the number one receiver in 2022, and then they had Rashee Rice last year as well. So it says Sanders Kincaid gets 1,500 yards receiving, or will the great Chase Claypool steal targets? Chase Claypool had a great rookie year, and like what happened to him? Just like sharp decline ever since. But no, Kincaid, I'm not joking about Kincaid. Like he can have an insane season. I think the argument could be there for him to be the tight end one this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's good. I don't think he's talented enough for me to assume that, but it's not out of the realm possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Patriots. The Patriots, they might not have a number 2 receiver. This New England team is so dreadful, I think. Mike says, don't take Coleman. He may not even play. Too many veterans ahead of him this year.
But they also, veterans suck.
Yeah. What if Keon Coleman sucks too? Like,
he might suck. I don't know if he sucks. I know the other guys suck.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I've seen MVS play. You guys have seen him play, right?
Well, he has like one good game in like 10 weeks, and then like it's funny. Like he'll have like a breakout game, still catch a deep pass, and then everyone will play him the DFS the next week. Oh, MVS only 3,200. Let's load him into our lineups. Yeah. And then like he does nothing, and then people forget about him, and then he just it's the worst.
I've seen the Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins wears a backpack to the facility every day. Like a children's backpack, like a weirdo. Like these guys are not good.
You've had some positive things to say about Matt Collins. I don't know if you want to repeat them, but it was interesting. John says beat reporters were hysterically high on Chase Claypool in OTAs where he's in shorts catching balls. That's a Paul Turner special right there. I have no faith in Chase Claypool. I get like, what do you think happened with him? Because I mean, he did have a great rookie year, and then it just like he just declined like rapidly ever since. Like, is it just because like he just didn't like take his career seriously and just like what do you think this was with him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there are certain guys they don't have the skill set to actually like survive the NFL long term when teams figure them out. Like he's kind of a one trick pony. He's the jump ball guy. That's his. He's not a good route runner. He's like not super fast. He's not super elusive. Like he doesn't have great hands. Like that doesn't translate to being a good receiver in the NFL. If you're not fast and can't run routes and you can't catch, you're not going to be a receiver. But his rookie year, he was the jump ball guy. And I think once teams kind of figured out how to defend that, it went away.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely true. He says no good QB since Big Ben. I mean, he had Tua last year. It's like, I don't know. I just didn't do anything. Harambe says, from what I've seen, sounds like coaches said Keon Coleman didn't know the playbook. Don't plan on betting him. He's on my dynasty team. So I guess like everyone on Harambe's dynasty team is cursed, apparently.
Even that's like we didn't know the playbook. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't know. I'm sure that's been said about other guys before that, and that turned like these guys are not rocket scientists. They play in the NFL. Okay, there's a lot of dumb guys in the NFL. They can figure it out.
Yeah. I wonder if that's sort of like Jamar Chase. You know, it's like, oh, he can't catch passes, dropped everything. You know. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be too concerned about that, but still, I don't know if it's a great situation in Buffalo, given that they can throw to Kincaid and Knox and Cooks. So like they don't need him. And like I said, they have Samuel who has experience in that offense. Sanchez says, I'm at like 99% of these streams, and somehow I missed the legendary Kenny Mac Hollins rant. It wasn't a rant. It was just like it was something you called Mac Hollins.
That may result in Walter needing to hire an attorney to defend against libel and or defamation, whatever the legal term is.
Oh man, the thoughts and opinions of Kenny does not reflect WalterFootball or WalterFootball.com After Dark show. I drafted 4 receivers. My only need. Okay. Well, hopefully one of them pans out. Mike says, I think Claypool dove headfirst into the deep end. Okay, that was a bad joke. All right. All right. What's your next one?
Okay, next one, and it's a combo. I've got to hear positive about one player and negative on the other. I've got to hear lots of overtly positive stuff about Jalen Tolbert, and I've got to hear some negative stuff about Brandon Cooks. So, if these training camps are going out of Dallas, and we're just over and over again like, Jalen Tolbert's just killing it. He's getting chances with the number 1 offense. He's looking great. He's explosive. He's catching everything. Combined with Brandon Cooks is injured, or he's struggling, or they're phasing him out, or there's some leaks that the team's not so confident in him anymore, whatever it may be. If I hear both of those things, then I'm willing to take a flyer late round on Jalen Tolbert, because I think he's good enough, and I think Cooks might be just old enough, although he's not as old as I thought he was when I looked it up earlier today. But I thought he was like 34, but gosh, I'm like, this guy's been in the league forever, it seems like, but not really. And so, but I think this could be the year where Tolbert really steps in and maybe beats. So like Michael Gallup was forever the guy that was supposed to be the next option in Dallas, but I never thought he was that good. And I think Tolbert might be better than him. And so I think that's the case. If we hear both of those things, that will pique my curiosity. What do you think of Tolbert?
I've seen him play. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know, man. I like that. That would be like Quentin Johnston's. Like, yeah, we've seen him get outproduced by Darius Davis. Like, I've seen Jalen Tolbert get his chances, and I don't know. I'd rather just take a chance with someone else. If it's like Ryan Flournoy, who's their 6th round rookie, it's like we hear positive buzz about him. I'd be more interested in that because we've seen Tolbert like just not do well, but we haven't seen Flournoy. So, but like really, I mean, this is like so much of the offense goes through CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. I just like wonder, like, are there really any targets available? Like, even if Jalen Tolbert supplants Brandon Cooks as the receiver too, like what is that going to look like? Is it going to be like 4 catches, 60 yards? I don't. 3 catches, 50 yards, 55 yards. Like, I feel like that's what Jalen Tolbert's going to be, unless like CeeDee Lamb gets hurt or something. I don't know. I'm not bullish on Dallas at all. Like they lost 2 of their best offensive linemen. And Zach Martin's there still, but he's in decline. He's 34, so he isn't the same as he once was. They lost their left tackle, Tyron Smith. They lost their center, Tyler Biadasz. Like 2 of the most important positions on the offensive line gone, and they're good players. So I think Dallas is going to decline this year. I think Dak's going to have a rough season, unless like the rookie linemen are great, which could happen. But I'm just not very optimistic about the chances. So I don't know. I like this one. I will disagree with you on. I can't get myself to draft Tolbert.
All right. Well, no need to defend it because you're probably right.
You can have him in our league.
Okay. How about this one? Okay, I'll stick with Cowboys.
Okay.
Similarly, I went back and watched all of Rico Dowdle's carries from last year. I'm a little nervous. He's not as good as I thought he was.
Yeah,
I was really bullish on him a couple months ago, and now I'm a little concerned. And so I'm going to need to hear. But there's a caveat to this. But if we hear a lot of incredible, overtly positive reports over and over again about Rico Dowdle, And simultaneously, we're hearing a lot of negative stuff about Zeke. Zeke looks slow. Zeke looks old. Zeke this. Like if we hear both of those things, then I'm going to be more inclined to want to get Rico Dowdle on my team. But if we don't hear both of those, I'm not going to feel as excited. The other problem is if we do hear that stuff, I would imagine Rico's draft stock's going to go up. Like I can imagine, like he's one good preseason play away. I mean, someone alluded to Tank Dell earlier. Like Rico Dowdle is what was the year? Is Amir Abdullah? Was it 2017 or 2015? Amir Abdullah had one phenomenal play in a preseason game, and his ADP went from like round 14 to round 8 in like one night.
Yeah.
Like I think Rico Dowdle's in that category. Like he could have one moment. So the problem is if he has that one moment, his draft stock's gonna soar. But I kind of feel like I want him to have that one moment before I feel comfortable drafting him. So that's my. But even if we can get a starter in a decent offense, the main guy, if that's going to be Rico, then I still feel good about drafting him in the 9th round. But I sure hope I can draft him in the 12th round if possible. What do you think of Rico? What do you think of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and like where he's being drafted right now, I think that you can get some good value with him. I do think that there's this chance that the starting running back on the Cowboys is not on the roster right now. I think they may sign someone, or if someone's cut at like right before the season, they could scoop someone up. They could also trade for someone. I think that there's a chance that it's neither Dowdle nor Zeke. So it just might be someone else. But like given where Dowdle's going right now, I think it's like 12th to 13th round. There's definitely value there. But if he so if he has this great performance, you're right. Like his ADP is going to soar to like 7th, 8th round. And then at that point, I'm like, man, that's just way too risky to draft him. So I don't know. I kind of like where he is right now. Kind of reminds me of GameStop. I always mention this, but the GameStop in July of 2020 was $3.80 a share. And like, yeah, I feel like if people heard positive news, they'd be willing to buy it up. But then the stock price would rise, and like by September it was like $10 a share, and eventually it was $480 a share. But like, people wanted to hear that positive news to buy, but like the correct approach was to buy at $3.80. And so yeah, you're getting Rico Dowdle at that $3.80 in round 13. So I'd actually just rather not hear anything. Just take my chance in the 13th round. If he sucks, then I'll just cut him and get someone else. But I don't know if I can't bring myself to draft him in the 8th round, like at all. Even if he has like positive reports, even if he has an Amir Abdullah moment in the preseason, I just can't trust it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, thanks for throwing some cold water on both of my Cowboy selections. It's probably good. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want to own Cowboy players and have to root for those bums anyway. So, okay.
well, does it hurt your soul like Giants, or does it hurt something else?
I mean, no, rooting for the Cowboys just sucks. Rooting for Giants is violence to your soul. It's way worse.
Well, I'm curious as to why. Like, why is that worse?
Oh, because they've got devilish powers on them. They sold their soul for the devil to win 2 Super Bowls with Eli freaking Manning. Like, the only way that happens is if you literally sold your soul to the devil. The devil and the Prince of Darkness is running your franchise. So it's the only reasonable explanation.
I can't argue that. I think you're right. I think you're right.
Note, a lot of Eagles fans in Philly hate the Cowboys more than the Giants, and I never understood it. I hate the Giants way more than the Cowboys.
You know what? I think it's the Eagles fans hate Cowboys fans more than Giants fans, but I think they may hate the Giants more than the Cowboys, or at least the team hates the Giants more than the Cowboys. But I think the fans are the Cowboys fans here are like so arrogant and obnoxious, Yeah. Like we can get into that another time. It's just like I feels like they're just the contrarians who just like want to see you just suffer, and like they just want to like revel in your misery. Like I feels like that's the sort of person that they are.
Losers.
John says, not sure you answered this before I got here, but who do you guys think will be this year's Puka Nakua? I feel like I've heard this question before. I'm going to pretend that this is a serious question, and I think it might be Brendan Rice, but I don't think there will be a Puka Nakua this year. How about Leggett this year? Xavier Leggett. I kind of like him. I don't know. Like, it's so tough to draft anyone in Carolina, but their offense will be better this year for sure. Like with Dave Canales there, and it's tough for Bryce Young to be as bad as he was last year. Like, I think he's going to improve.
That's like the worst compliment ever. You can't be as bad as you were last year, right?
You can't. You can't. So I don't know. I think there's potential there, but there's a lot of receivers. There's Deontay Johnson. There's Leggett. There's Adam Thielen still there. He had a lot of targets last year. Jonathan Mingo's in his second year. Like the Panthers have a lot of people to throw to. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to pan out. I can't see myself drafting Leggett. Can you?
No, and there's no training camp reports that would get me excited about him.
Yeah, I agree with that. John says people are souring on Jaden Daniels because of his interview on Hard Knocks with the Giants. He came across poorly. I have not heard of this. Have you? I don't know what this is.
No.
If you, John, if you want to explain, I've never heard this. So I'll look into it later. But yeah, if you want to talk about why. Sue says Rico only 4.05 YPC. Kenny forgot to mention that stat. Kenny, what happened? Where's the YPC stat?
Clearly, I missed that.
Yes. John says, do you guys use PFF grades at all when it comes to running backs? I like yards at their contact stat per attempt stat. No, not for running backs. I use it for offensive linemen mostly just because it's just hard to gauge how good they are. But not so much for running backs.
Yeah, I think it's the positions that I feel like I can't watch with my eyes. So offensive line is the clear one.
Yeah.
I guess I'm really defensive players too. Like, because even defense is hard to gauge. Like, because the defenses play so much like a unit, and there's so much schemas involved, so it's hard to know which players are being really good. And so I think PFF for defensive players and special teams and offensive line are really helpful. Yeah,
I agree. Sue says so. I guess Kenny didn't have shot his leg Plaxico Burress on any of his fantasy teams. That was a miscarriage of justice that they got Plaxico on. Violations on the second and sixth amendments there, which is incompetent lawyers on his part, I guess. And then Sue says Walt didn't mention preseason buzz on Ian Thomas for the Panthers. Yeah, Ian Thomas has stolen the spotlight according to multiple reports. That's something you're gonna take seriously?
No, I have zero.
I could if I were in a 32 person league with 20 rounds, I don't think I could ever draft Ian Thomas.
I mean, that's like that's like perfect. Like, those are the kinds of reports that come out, and like some fantasy owners really do like change their draft boards based on those kind of reports, and that's a bad idea.
Yep.
Don't draft Ian Thomas.
Yes, do not. All right. What's your next one?
Okay, next one. Since you hated my Cowboys picks, rightfully so, I guess. Okay, I need to hear some overtly positive comments about Devin Singletary. Once upon a time, I really liked Devin Singletary, the Bills, and then he went to Houston, and we say he was productive in Houston. But the Giants are probably terrible, and I probably don't want to own Devin Singletary because, again, owning a Giant player is going to be hurtful to your soul. But there may be, this is not for me because I'm not going to own a Giants player, but for others who maybe want to own a Giants player, if you hear a lot of overtly positive comments about Devin Singletary, I think there could be some value with Devin Singletary because the Giants offense is going to be a total wreck. We're going to be devaluing them. But I wonder, sometimes going into the season, it feels like every year there's at least one offense that we almost like we devalue too much.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals was that last year. Like, I mean, I used to like everywhere you looked, everyone's just like, the Cardinals are going to be so terrible. Don't draft anyone. And like James Conner ended up being a very productive fantasy back. Like, he's not even a good player. So I wonder if I have a suspicion. I could be wrong if we get to, once we get into the real ADP numbers, like right now, ADP just feels like, it's there, but like, when people start drafting more, ADP ends up shifting, quite a bit, usually into August. I have a sense that a lot of the Giants players are going to be significantly devalued, and rightfully so. But I think sometimes we can go overboard. And I wonder if a guy like Devin Singletary, I think a lot of people think he sucks, but I don't think he sucks. I actually think he's a good player. Not great, but I think he's good. And I wonder if I can get Devin Singletary late because he's being overly devalued. And I'm hearing a lot of positive feedback from him. I think he's the kind of player you can hear a lot of positive reports about him, and it probably won't move the needle. Like, I don't think his draft stock is going to soar because he's on the Giants, and people are not going to want to draft the Giants because one, because they suck, two, because they know it's going to make their souls sad. So I understand why people are not going to want to draft the Giant players. I think Devin Singletary might be a player this year that's worth some soul sucking exceptions.
I can see Singletary being okay. The problem is like the team around him. It's just except for Andrew Thomas, their offensive line kind of sucks. Jermaine Illuminor is okay, but the right side of their offensive line from center to right tackle might be the worst in the NFL. So I don't know. Like it's gonna be tough for him to produce like rather well. Like even like the James Conner thing that you talk about. Like Conner at least has a decent offensive line. Like the Singletary does not have that. But given that the Giants don't have that many weapons, like it's just Malik Neighbors and no one else. Like maybe Wan'Dale Robinson stays healthy, or maybe Jalen Hyatt in his second year does something, but like probably not. Darren Waller's gone. We don't know who's going to step in at tight end. Could be Bellinger, could be Theo Johnson. So
nobody.
Exactly. They may not even have a receiving tight end. So Singletary will get some targets, I feel like, because they just don't have any receiving threats outside of Neighbors. So I do think that there's a chance that Singletary does well. But again, like it's the offensive line is just really hard to trust.
I hope I legitimately think. I mean, you're right. I think you're bad. They're bad, but I wonder if people are going to just devalue. I wonder if like okay, where do you think he should go versus where he is going? Where do you feel like he's going where he should go?
What's his ADP like? It's like 7th round, I think. Let me see. It's 94 overall, which is it's 8th round actually. It's 8-10. I think it's probably the round too late. I think I'd take him in the 7th.
So I mean, I think there's a little bit of value there. I think there's going to be, and I think the more and more we hear from Giants camps, like this team's just going to suck, and like Daniel Jones, and there's going to be all kinds of comments coming out. I mean, I get the sense that people are just going to be like, oh, that's a dumpster fire. I don't want that team. And I wonder if I get to round 8 and Singletary staring at me, I'm going to take him and I'm going to feel fine about it. Assuming I've heard some positive comments about him. Now, if we hear nothing at all, nothing positive, it's just nothing but dumpster fire coming out of New York, and there's nothing positive at all from anyone, then I'm probably just going to go, okay, I don't want to touch him until round 10. Probably. Like that's going to be that's how I'll probably feel, because the value will just be too much at that point.
Yeah.
But if there's some positive comments, I could easily take him, early to mid 2nd round or 7th round. Sorry. 7th round.
Definitely don't take him in the 2nd round.
7th.
A 7th is okay. Yeah, I think 8 is really good value. 7th is just okay value. So, I mean, I don't know if I need to see any positive reports of Singletary. I feel like we kind of know what that situation is. You know what I'd rather see is positive reports about their offensive line. Like if the right tackle, who's he's been terrible ever since he entered the NFL. Evan Neal, I mean, he was a top 10 pick, so like he's only in his 3rd year, so it's like it's not inconceivable that he could like bounce back and have a great season. Their center, John Michael Schmitz, he's a 2nd round pick from last year. He had a horrible rookie year, but maybe he takes a big step. So like if I hear those two guys are looking really good, then that is basically a positive report for me about Singletary.
Nice. All right.
Yeah. All right. We're seeing some comments here. Bagger says unrelated, but someone edited Burris's Wikipedia page and changed the accidental shooting section to say accidental shooting. that is well done by whoever did that. Mike says, who names their kid Plaxico? What's going on with these names? I actually looked this up too. I saw the comment and looked it up. Is that his real name is Plaxico? He was named after his uncle. It sounds like Texaco. Remember those gas stations? Maybe that was like the motivation there. But I don't know.
Mike, Plaxico is a very common name in the African American community. We don't need your white privilege coming on the Walter Football Show and throwing out your racist comments at my boy Plaxico. Okay.
There's so many Plaxicos out there for sure. It is unique, at least, it does, like, it's one of those names you could just say Plaxico, you know who you're talking about,
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some merit there, I guess. Sue says, imagine NFL Scrabble game where you can only use first names of NFL players. Plaxico would score highly. Yeah, that like what would be better than Plaxico? Like that'd be a tremendous. Like says next time I name a kid's either going to be Walt or Kenneth. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. That says, are you and Jacob still doing the super contest? I'll watch the episode back later this week. No, we are not doing the super contest entry this year. Unfortunately, maybe next year we'll see, but no, we're not doing this together. I will be in. I'm going to do super contest, but Jacob and I will not be sharing an entry this year. John says the problem with Singletary is we've seen him in a Dayball offense before, and he was underwhelming. It's fair. I mean, it's true. But then again, he does have familiarity with the offense, so he's basically plug and play, right? So I think there is a positive to it.
Helpful, yeah.
Yeah. Mike says Zay would be a great Scrabble name too. I have to think of some of these for sure. So it says, what if Walt's Cardinals reporter has glowing reports on Trey Benson? Well, what if Mike Jarecki comes out and says like Trey Benson looks amazing? I think I trust that. I trust Jarecki. I mean, he's been like very close to 100% on all his reporting. But like the problem is like James Conner's still there, but Connor has an injury history. And I like Benson anyway. Like I liked him coming out of college. I thought he went a little too late, and he has a chance to start this year. If Connor goes down, he's definitely going to start, I think. Go ahead.
But I don't know that the reports are going to move the needle from I think I like Trey Benson at a certain spot, and I don't know that like glowing reports is going to change my view on him
right.
or I don't think bad reports is going to change my view on him negatively. I think I like him as a nice upside play, but I don't know that my draft view with him would change dramatically based on what's coming out of camp.
You know what it had to be is like if Jarecki says like James Conner is looking like lethargic, and Trey Benson's looking great. It would have to be both, because then there's a better chance Benson overtakes him without the injury. But you'd have to hear both, I think. Like says actually NFL Scrabble would be a great idea. Walt might be even a bigger winner than the sloth t-shirts. We'll have to. I mean, like I don't know how I'd do it. Like you could just play Scrabble and just use the NFL name. I don't know. There'd have to be something to it, but it would have to be just the player names. So you had to enter it into the database and everything to that. I don't know. We actually have a quarterly meeting here with everyone on the staff in 2 weeks. So I'll bring it up to my developers, see if we can do anything. Like I couldn't do this personally, but maybe he can put something together. We're actually thinking about some new projects going forward. So like this is actually something that's good. Like they could just like pitch this and like see what everyone says. It badly says Kyle Juszczyk would be the undisputed winner there for sure. I thought about Aqua Wakemanam, but like there's just too many letters. Like you only have 7 letters, right? So actually this is 8. So you have to connect this to something. John says I got burned last year with all the Michael Thomas's dominating reports coming out of the Saints training camp. I remember those. Everyone loved Michael Thomas based on those reports.
Yeah, I forgot about Michael Thomas. It's a good one.
Yeah. No, that's one I didn't trust. I couldn't get behind that one. And Mike says, right, Bagley, did you know you get a 50-point bonus score if you spell an 8 word word? Yeah, it's you do get the bonus and you get the letters. You get the Z and you get the 2 Z's and the Y and the J and the K. Like it's amazing. All right, so what's the next story?
I got last 2. Side note, speaking of Z's, my wife told me the number one reason she married me because I have a Z in my last name. That's it. So,
wow, is that true?
I hope that's not true.
Okay, I was like, what to say? That's very. I've never heard that before.
I hope I have more to offer than a Z in her last name. That would be terrible.
That'd be something else. It's like I like she's talking to someone else. Like I love you, but you don't have a Z in your last name. I just can't marry you.
Okay, the last 2 are similar. They're both health. I need to hear health on these 2 players. First one is Deshaun Watson. I need to hear glowing, over the top, overtly positive. Everyone loves this guy. This guy looks so good. I'd even let him, take my daughter on a date. Like that's how good it's gonna be. Okay. Well, it's never gonna be that good. Never mind.
I was about to say.
Okay, there's never gonna be that good. But I need to know that he looked awful for the little he played last year. He was terrible. And And he had the shoulder injury. This guy, when he was in Houston, before before he was suspended, he was a Superman. I mean, he was C.J. Stroud before C.J. Stroud. He was that type of player. He was amazing. He was amazing as a rookie before he tore his ACL. Then he came back and carried that team to the playoffs. And so I find it hard to believe that ability just goes away, but maybe it just goes away. I don't know. Maybe the time off and the off the field stuff just kind of beating him down, and maybe he's lost passion for the game. Maybe he doesn't have the work ethic to get better. Maybe he's had some injuries we don't know about, or maybe the few injuries we do know about has kind of sucked him dry of any passion to get. I have no idea. That was a weird pun that I accidentally stepped into there. Anyway, anyway, I need to hear that Deshaun Watson is healthy, in sync, looks good, and the offense is running well. And I need to hear like a drumbeat of this just throughout the summer before I even consider looking at anyone on the Browns. But I want to hear that because I think there's some potential players on this team. I want to see what Foreman is going to look like on the. Like I want him to be productive. Like I want Nick Chubb to come back and be productive. I want Amari Cooper to be a valuable potential player. Like I want those things, and so anyway, I'm looking for Deshaun Watson to be healthy, to rebound, to look like he did before all the nonsense, and to be in sync. And I want some general good vibes from this team coming out of camp.
Yeah, I think like the problem is that I just don't know if I'd believe it since we've seen so much bad Watson. But yeah, I mean that is something to look for as well, like for sure. And it's really staggering how much worse he is than he was back in 2020. Like you're right. I mean, he was amazing when he started his career in his first 4 seasons. Like he was carrying that Houston team on his own. Yeah, it just gone downhill from there ever since he had those off the field issues and the injury. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how like I'd feel if it's like Deshaun Watson looks like his 2020 self. Like if I saw multiple reports saying that, I think I'd be more optimistic about him for sure. I just don't know if I completely trust it, but like I'd have to see it for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just because it was so long, if that happened like heading into last year, I'd be more willing to believe it. Just because like I'd be like, okay, this is his first full season with Cleveland. You know, he doesn't have any off the field stuff anymore. Like he can finally focus on football. Like I actually thought there was a chance he'd rebound last year. And he didn't. Like he looked awful. So I would just like again, I'd have to see it for myself.
Yeah, I guess I'm still thinking about 2020 and just thinking that's got to be in there somewhere, right? And maybe not. Maybe it's not in there. And I'm hoping for something that's ridiculous.
It's the member berries, Deshaun Watson. The member berries. Member berries are very powerful. They can get you for sure. Mike says Watson injured his shoulder carrying his guaranteed $260 million to the bank. Yeah, can you imagine just like carrying that much money? Sure, that would that certainly hurt his shoulder. I don't know. It's so weird how he's declined so much. So very yeah, I'd have to see it. So yeah, your final story, and then I'll bring some up.
The number one story I want to hear, and that if I hear will shift how I draft is Keaton Mitchell out of Baltimore. Is he fully healthy from the ACL? Because before the ACL, I thought this guy was electric. I mean, he's a fantastic player, and I think the Ravens are poised to have this guy be awesome. I mean, Derrick Henry's going to be the main guy to start. He's going to be the guy they're drafted. But I think we could see him fall off the cliff sooner rather than later, and I could see Mitchell if he's fully healthy, being a fantastic. I think he's a league winner type player. I think he's a great player. I love his game, and if he's fully healthy, if all the reports are coming out that he's fully healthy, I'm going to draft him in every league I can, and I will probably try to get him a round or two before his ADP, whatever it is. And I think even if there's a lot of overt positive things about Keaton Mitchell's health, I don't think it's going to move the needle much on his draft stock because I think the majority of people are going to think it's Derrick Henry's job, and no one's going to supplant him. That's my guess. I could be wrong, but I think most people are going to think it's Henry, and I think most people are going to be wrong. I think it's Mitchell. If Mitchell is healthy, I think we're going to get to round to week 7 or 8 this year and go, oh my gosh, like what a steal he was in round whatever he ends up going in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, any positive injury news would be nice. I just have severe issues trusting running backs coming off torn ACLs. Now, there have been exceptions. Adrian Peterson ran for 2,000 yards. Breece Hall last year looked like Marshall Faulk coming like in the second half of the year as a receiver. But these guys are elite talents. Like I don't know if Keaton Mitchell's quite there, but still, I mean, he was electric last year. So maybe, I think he might be someone to monitor for like the second half of the year because like he might be worked in slowly. And even still, like it's still Derrick Henry's job for at least for the first half of the year. So. If Mitchell, like this is something I would rather just wait for because I feel like, what's going to happen is Mitchell's going to be drafted like frequently in like the late rounds. And the first like a few weeks, like he's just not going to touch the ball very much because it's Henry's job, and B, he's coming off the injury. So they might work him in slowly. And then people are going to drop him. And then, like in the middle of the year, suddenly his workload is going to increase because he's further away removed from the injury. Plus, Henry might wear down. So that's just something I just look for, and then like come like mid-October, just like so someone's going to drop Mitchell, and then like okay, I'll take a shot on him.
Yeah, I guess if I'm hearing just a ton of like if it's very clear, oh, he's fully healthy, he's fully recovered, it wouldn't bother me to draft him, and I would want to hold on to him. I wouldn't want to drop him. But if we hear nothing positive about him and there's no real drumbeat, it's just sort of, so-so, or there's some positive, but not like over the top, then yeah, it's probably not worth drafting. Like, okay, maybe he's going to be worked in slowly. But like, I think he's the kind of guy, like if he's fully healthy and everyone's like, wow, he's really healthy. And then like, he's running with the ones like people, well, they're just giving Derrick Henry a day off. But right. I think I'm like, my guess is it's more than that. Like, I think most people are going to devalue the positive news coming out on Mitchell, and I want to be ahead of the game if I can because I really believe in the talent.
You're right. I mean, it won't move the needle just because Henry's entrenched as the starter right now. So, Mike says, which QB was the bigger ripoff, Watson or Wilson? I think it has to be Wilson. Like he just looked dreadful for 2 years. Like at least Watson had injuries. You can blame him on that. And plus, like Watson still has potential. John agrees. Says too early to answer. Watson at least has some hope. Yeah, Wilson has no hope. Like Watson at least has something. Like he could. Like what if he comes back to his 2024 this year? Like then suddenly it's going to look like a somewhat decent move.
Yeah, I mean, the Wilson was already. He's gone from the team that gave up a slew of picks and money, right? So, like that's already failed. The Watson, at least there's a potential that they could get some ROI on that.
Yeah. That's definitely true. Keaton Mitchell, 8.43 yards per carry, Kenny.
Let's go. That's right.
It's a very important stat. So I'm sure that's why you like him. Okay, who names their kid Keaton? This might go on all night. I looked it up. If that is his name, I don't know what he was named after, but yes, it's maybe Michael Keaton. Maybe they're just Michael Keaton fans.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. Good movies.
Yes. All right.
Bad politics, good movies.
I didn't know it's politics. So I was going to bring up some reports and see what you have to say about them. All right. So this one, Gus Edwards is the clear lead back for the Chargers heading into training camp. Is this a story you value or dismiss? Like because we were high on Dobbins, you know what I mean?
I refuse to believe that a smart coach like Jim Harbaugh is going to watch Gus Edwards play and J.K. Dobbins, assuming Dobbins is healthy, he's going to watch these two guys play and then he's going to favor Edwards. I refuse to believe that. It's just absurd.
Yeah. I love this. Like, this is a very stupid report because it says he adds, if J.K. Dobbins is healthy, I think he wins the job. Okay. Yeah, thanks for telling us nothing. Okay, let's see here. Dak Prescott, there's been some talk about his ankle. He's in a walking boot. Dak says there's absolutely nothing wrong with his ankle. Are you, with these reports about him being in a walking boot, is that going to lower your evaluation on Prescott?
No, but I'm going to draft a quarterback so late it won't matter. Like it won't matter to guys like me. So I don't. At this stage, I'm not worried about it. If in a month he's still walking in a walking boot, then that would be something to be concerned about.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's a little too early right now, and he said it's precautionary. I don't know. It's something to like just keep in mind. Like if Prescott falls in your draft and like you deem him as good value, like you might want to look that up. Be like, wait a second, is that still an issue? But right now, I don't think so. Steelers running back Cordell Patterson will have a bigger role than being a specialist. How does it make you feel about as someone who likes Jaylen Warren?
Okay, I want to say
I know you're saying here we're going there, but this.
I want to say this is a dumb report that you should totally ignore. But considering who the offensive coordinator is,
yeah,
dumb coaches do dumb things. So don't put a lot of hopes in. I don't even like Najee Harris, but you have Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren on your team. Like Patterson should not be seeing any significant carries. Like he's the occasional change of pace, give the other guys a breather. Like he should not be a significant part of your running game if you've got Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris on your team. But some coaches are really stupid and they do stupid things. And this offensive coordinator has proven to be as dumb as they come. So who knows? I don't know. It's or as you maybe he was just possessed by an alien creature, and that's what led to it.
You're finally coming around. Finally, I knew I'd convince you.
Yeah.
Hold on. John says Harbaugh also said that Bo Nix is as good as a prospect as Patrick Mahomes. Funny enough, they were drafted 2 spots apart, right? I mean, Bo Nix was 12th overall, and Mahomes was 10th overall. So it's funny to think that way. But which Harbaugh was that, by the way? Was that John or Jim? I mean, I completely disagree. I love Mahomes coming out. He was my top quarterback that year over Mitchell Trubisky. I had him 10th in my mock draft that year.
Watson was also in that.
Yep, he was. Yep. And the Texans tried to move up for Mahomes. And the Chiefs beat him to the punch. And then they wanted to move up for Watson after that. And then there's the story I've talked about a couple times. Bill O'Brien was so adamant that he did not want to move up for Deshaun Watson because he thought Tom Savage was the quarterback of the future. And then then when their GM stepped down, he fired everyone who was associated with that move. And it's just like, how dumb can you be? Like, yeah, I mean, admit that you're wrong. Like, yeah, you're wrong sometimes. It's going to happen. Every human being in the history of this planet has been wrong about something occasionally. So why would you compound the errors? Like, yeah, like clearly there were smart people behind that decision. Right. Why would you fire those people? It's like, no wonder Bill O'Brien's total idiot.
That's true.
Okay. I said, Dak, is that the name of a canned ham? Well, Dakota Prescott. It's Dakota. I've heard that name before.
Is his name Dakota? I didn't even know that.
Oh, you didn't? I assume it is. I always thought it was Dakota Prescott. It actually, no, hold on. His name is Rayne Dakota Prescott. Rayne. Rayne is his first name. Dakota's his middle name.
Rayne many years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, girl. That's wild. I had no idea his name was Rayne Dakota Prescott. That's wild.
Well done, Rayne.
Yes. He's the youngest son of Nathaniel and Peggy Prescott. Yeah. Okay. Well, now you learn something new every day, right? Yeah. So I thought it was short for I always thought his name was Dakota Prescott, and it's Rayne Prescott. I'm sorry, JJ. Okay, he says JJ McCarthy. Okay, because he had in Michigan. Okay, that makes more sense. Well, I mean, it's this guy. He's always going to talk up this guy. This is his job. He recruited this guy. He wants the best for him. I don't blame that. I imagine he's just BSing.
Yeah.
Raymond says, can Russell Wilson turn Wilson into an all-star? I assume you mean
Roman.
Roman Wilson. Okay. I mean, the Steelers draft good receivers anyway. They usually do in round 2 or day 2. So I mean, Roman Wilson is someone I'm higher on anyway. Like he's one of those guys I'm going to be interested in the final rounds. So we'll see. That's what about like Roman Wilson? Someone what about like with him getting positive reports? Like, how would you feel about that?
It wouldn't move the needle for me because I don't trust that offense with until they get a real quarterback. It's hard for me to trust that passing game at all.
Yeah. Sue says I got to see Dak play high school ball, man amongst boys. That must have been awesome. Just seeing that, you you usually tell when someone's special. Yeah. We had Damone Jones. Remember him at our high school? He's recruited by Joe Paterno. Actually came to our high school to recruit him. So, and then he went to Penn State and did nothing. Mike says, "Okay, I'm convinced now the NFL Scrabble game has to be a huge winner." Yeah, rain. Yeah, rain. You could use rain for sure. All right, so let's get back to more of these stories. Let's see. Okay, so it wouldn't shock me. Victor first says it wouldn't shock me if the Raiders added a running back this offseason. This is like if you like Zamir White. I don't know how I feel about Zamir White. Like, does this hurt your opinion about him?
Well, I don't think he's that good. So I think he's fine. Like he's fine, but like I think Zamir White could be easily replaced. So, yeah, it wouldn't shock me if the Raiders added a running back. No, it wouldn't shock me either. It doesn't move the needle because I think don't think very highly of Zamir White.
Okay. I think this is more about Madison. Like, Alexander Madison was so bad last year. Maybe they want a better RB2. And there's been some talk that Leonard Fournette's going to sign with someone, which I thought he retired already. But maybe they think Fournette's going to be a better RB2 than Madison. I don't know. Feels like, I don't know. It's like that Pam Beasley meme. They're both the same,
That's right. I've been saying for several years I think Madison sucks. So, yeah, if they think he sucks and want to replace him, I would agree. I think that's a good move.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. I saw this one. I was curious about your opinion. Broncos QB Bo Nix has done nothing but impress his teammates and coaches in Denver. Are you going to draft Bo Nix?
No,
or
not no. If he ends up being great, fine, have at it. Whoever, mazel tov to whoever got him. There is a 90% chance that Bo Nix does nothing meaningful for fantasy football in his rookie year, based on where he's at as a prospect and where that offense is likely to be.
Well, what about his receivers? Like, are you going to be more optimistic about Cortland Sutton? Maybe Marvin Mims. I sold my Marvin, by the way. And he's going to be great.
I've got a bunch of Marvin Mims core and rare cards, so I'm hoping that he does okay. Yeah, I know. Cortland Sutton, who once upon a time I thought was amazing and loved him. I remember once on the podcast I said he's going to be there's going to come a moment where he's the best receiver in the NFL. I said that out loud in English, and that never came to be true. No, Sutton's was not good last year and scored a bunch of touchdowns. Very, very fluky touchdown scoring. So, no, I don't have any confidence in that team right now.
Yeah, I don't either. Let's see here. Oh, we have a comment. John says Raiders would probably add Dalvin Cook or something. Yeah, it'd be cool to reunite the Minnesota backs. You have Cook and Madison on the team again. Just a different team.
Dalvin's still a free agent, right?
Yep. Yes.
I kind of forgot about him. That's funny.
I mean, he was so bad last year for the Jets.
Completely forgot about him.
Yeah. All right. I saw this. Personal receiver coach Drew Lieberman told The Athletic that Andre Yoshivas and Chase Brown made, quote, the fastest improvements of any player he's ever had. So this is independent coach who's has been working with these guys this offseason, and someone interviewed him and said that these two guys have made incredible improvements. They're both second-year players. What are your thoughts on this report?
I don't care what this guy says. Like these coaches, like these kind of third party guys, they say like they're always positive. What is he going to say? He was training. These guys have paid him to work out with them for the last couple months. What is he going to say? Yeah, they were pretty mediocre. Of course, of course he's going to say they were the best ever. Now for Andre Jokovic. I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know, but Chase Brown, I love. So positive reviews on Chase Brown. I'm already very high on Chase Brown. I think he's a very good player. I went back and watched all of his carries. I mean, there weren't a lot of carries. I mean, it took me like 4 minutes to watch every play he touched the ball this past year. So it wasn't, but I think he's a great player, and I think he's going to clearly be the lead back in Cincinnati, and I really like him. So I'm actually I'm on the kind of on the high end of Chase Brown compared to most people. So maybe for someone who's not as sure about him or doesn't feel as confident, maybe this would move the needle for them. But I don't think there's not a lot of, he doesn't have a lot of ceiling for me. I think I already have him kind of at the high end. What I think he's going to do.
Yeah, I like him better than Zach Moss for sure. I mean, Yoshibas is someone I had in my my hidden gems list that we did a couple weeks ago, or was it last week? That was a couple weeks ago, right? So I don't know. I saw this report and I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's cool to hear that. But it's not like I'm gonna like soar him up my rankings or anything like that. Like if anything, like if I have him like 95th as like or if I have him as like the 75th receiver, and maybe I'm moving to like 74th. It's not gonna move anything for me really. Let's see. Sue says as recently as 2 weeks ago, they told us Biden was as sharp as attack. I mean, they've been telling us that too recently. Like after the debate, they've been saying that he's sharp. All the mainstream media is like Biden is sharp. Biden's very sharp. And I love how like Jon Stewart was like, this is new information that we're seeing on Biden. It's like each said true and not shot under pressure and bad at cat care and next now arrested in 2020. Like this guy's brain was fried 4 years ago. Like this is not new information. He's never been sharp as that. That's true. At least he didn't have Alzheimer's. Now he does.
It's like I'm not even like it used to be funny. I don't even think it's funny anymore. I'm like he's the president of the United States right now.
Well, is he though? I don't know. Like
good question.
Did you? Because I don't know if you saw the report. He's going to bed now at 8:00 because he needs more sleep. Okay. But anyway, so the press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, was asked by reporters, like, oh, what happens if there's a nuke being like struck down at 11:00 and the president needs to get on the phone? Like, who's like is someone going to wake him up? And the Karine Jean-Pierre said, well, we have a team here. It's like you're not even gonna wake him up for this.
Oh God, help us!
Oh my God, I don't understand what's happening. I saw today New York is now a swing state. Apparently, I saw a report saying New York is up for grabs. That's how bad it's gotten. I think if the Democrats think they can win with someone else, I think they'll run that person. I don't think they're going to run Biden. But if they think they're going to lose because they're just seeing like bad polling for everyone, then they probably just stick it out with Biden or like Kamala.
At the end of the day, like Kamala's your only real the optics of the Democratic Party replacing Biden with anyone other than Kamala. Like you're like this is the woman who's been the vice president. She's been the second in command. She's a black woman, and like you're gonna replace her with who? Like a white straight man like Gavin Newsom. Like the optics of that, like that side of the aisle, like people who are in that party are just not going to put up with that. Like that's just how dare you? That's going to be the most racist, bigoted thing you've ever done. I mean, this is worse than slavery. I mean, that's how it's going to be put. And like, so if it's not him, it's going to be Kamala. I'm just convinced of that. And like, in what world is it she's going to win and Biden's not? Like there's no scenario in which she could beat Trump where Biden could not. It's a losing cause for them. Like, yeah. And so, and listen, based on my politics, I'm not upset about this. I'm just like, if I was a Democrat, if I was a Democratic operative, like realistically, like your only realistic shot to win. I don't know that this what there really is. Like, their realistic shot to win is like to do something that your party seemingly would not be willing to do. And right. That's my 2 cents. So.
I think these people will do anything it takes to win. I don't think they will care to replace Kamala. There will be some complaints, and then a week from then, it'll be like we have to rally around Newsom. Like that's like people will be mad for about a week, and then they'll forget about it. Maybe 2 weeks, but then they will rally around Newsom. So, like I said, I think if they believe they can win with Newsom or Big Mike, or I don't think Big Mike wants to run, but Newsom or Whitmer. then they will run that person. But if they think like the polling is so bad for them, then they'll just stick it out with Biden or Kamala. That's how I think it'll go, because it doesn't matter who gets nominated. Like, it doesn't matter who wins the delegates. It's all about the super delegates. Like they Democrats run things differently. Like the super delegates can just choose whomever they want. So they can bypass Biden or Kamala. It doesn't matter who that they're president and vice president right now. The super delegates just decide. So I don't know. And back, it says a Harris Biden ticket might be where they go. Just demote Biden. What about Fetterman Biden? I think that'd be
just flip flop them.
yeah, just demote Biden. Biden did better as vice president. He had like this bribery stuff from Ukraine. Like, he was getting stuff done. That's Kevin vice president again. Let's see here. Okay, let's. Yeah, he would screw up so much his words on the campaign trail that Obama team had to shut him down in 2008. Yeah, yeah, he was. I mean, he had the plagiarism stuff in the 80s when he ran. He read off. Was it Churchill's speech or something? Like he plagiarized someone's speech, and then he got in trouble for it, and he had to resign, or he had to step down. So yeah, he was guilty of plagiarism, but yeah. Son says you lose the incumbency advantage by not running Biden. Plus, the stock market is killing it for me right now. Yeah, I mean, the real rich people are doing really well. You know, I mean, the wealthy people have stocks and stuff like that. That's going to happen when you just keep printing money like crazy. But yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like Biden will lose. But it's the question is, like, do they think they can win with Newsom? If they can, they're going to run him. If they don't think they can win with Newsom, then they won't run him. They'll just run Biden or Kamala. I think that's what it comes down to. Mike says, no, New York will never be a swing state. Too many socialists. Yeah, I would have agreed, but like, actually, their governor race was pretty close. Like, Lee Zeldin almost beat Hochul, and like, the polling is showing that it's close to 50-50. I mean, upstate New York, there are a lot of Republicans up there. It's just the city that's it's a communist stronghold right now.
I do not believe that New York is going to be competitive come the fall. I don't think so. No, yeah, no. There are certain states that the strongholds may not look as strong, and then things always go back to the normal kind of. Yeah, so there's always moments of outlier.
Yeah. Yeah. John says, what does George Clooney think? That's how I will make my vote. Of course, you have to listen to Clooney. Fetterman Biden. Maga says Fetterman might actually be a strong candidate in an alternate universe where he didn't just experience 4 years of Biden. Voters won't want to trade one mush mouth for another. I mean, Fetterman's been stronger lately. So I mean, he beat Dr. Oz, right? Yes, he has to be good. So boss says Democrats don't even want to run because it'll ruin their chances for 2028. Yeah, that's my thinking here. Is like,
it's probably true.
I think Newsom would give them the best chance to win, but he may just want to run in 2028. Like, that's like, he may not even want it right now. So I think they might be stuck,
which is much smarter, right? I mean, you'd be in a much better position to fundraising, momentum.
Yeah, no Trump too.
Yeah, like it would make more sense to wait if it
might be like Vivek versus Newsom or something. I don't know what's gonna happen in 2020. Lots gonna happen.
A lot gonna happen on that change.
Yeah. Bagger says he'd be a good VP for Newsom or Harris, since California politicians are poisoned to Midwestern voters. Yeah, it's true. Sue says Hunter AOC ticket or Cheech and Chong the way to go. Yeah, Hunter AOC ticket. That'd be interesting. Fetterman Biden actually makes some sense. The liberals want the country to go green, and they're both vegetables. Nice one, Mike.
Well done, Mike. Well done.
Yes. I guess someone say Fetterman has been surprisingly good on Israel. Yeah, no, Fetterman has, like, I made fun of him on the site. Like, I mean, he was bad. Like, when he was elected, like he was saying nonsense. But no, I mean, he's improved. I actually don't think he's that bad. in 5 years, it depends who runs against him. I might vote for him. And then John says Michelle Obama would probably win. I'm not joking. Well, I don't think she wants to run. She said repeatedly that she doesn't want to run. So yeah, I don't think we have to worry about Big Mike. And then Bagger says realistically, there are only 7 swing states plus the single Nebraska district. Yeah, well, I'm here like Minnesota is Minnesota's in play. New Jersey's in New Jersey's actually I think in favor of Trump right now in the polling. So I don't know. We'll see, but it could be one of the strongholds that Kenny talked about.
Yeah, there are certain states that are just like inevitably, no matter what the polling says,
right?
Like either the polling is wrong or the polling is just gauging how people feel right this moment, but it doesn't really accurately reflect how people are going to actually vote.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know how far he went back. You want to go with these stories? Buccaneers plan to use Chris Godwin more in the slot this season. This to me is actually like somewhat important because it's a positional change, and Godwin was more productive in the slot and in Liam Cohen's offense. Generally the slot receivers have done really well. So I took this as slightly positive for Godwin, just because I'd rather have him in the slot than the outside.
I just feel like these kinds of reports almost are never never true. Like the coach says, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this thing," and most of the time it just doesn't actually happen.
Yeah.
So 90% of the time, so it's like a 10% chance this is actually true. That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and plus it's fungible. You could be in the slot one play out, play in the outside another play.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could probably stop here. But yeah, there's not much else here. James Conner will see the bulk of the share of team's backfield workload. So there goes my Trey Benson story. So yeah. I mean, you can keep going back, but I don't know. We now we're getting into July 2nd, so it's already 9 days. So I'm sure we'll get to more reports in the coming weeks and stuff like that. John says, I always hear Texas in play for Democrats. It never comes to fruition. Yeah, I mean, things change. California used to be red, and then now it's deep blue. I don't know if you saw the voter roll stuff. There's tens of thousands of people have been registered to vote without IDs. And this is in a lot of states like Texas, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Missouri, even. There's a bunch of states like that. It's funny because this is all on some website. I forget, it's the HVAA or something like that. I forget what it is. And if you look at some states Tennessee is 0, and just zero. And then these states are 10. I think Arizona. I think it's Arizona had 102,000 people tried to register to vote without a social security number or something, or no, the social security number didn't match their name. And so you see all these illegal immigrants coming in, plus Democrats didn't want to sign the SAVE Act, which prevents illegal immigrants from voting. I don't know. I think there might be something nefarious afoot here where we might see something insane. What if Trump had 75 million votes? What if he gets 90 million votes this time? Biden gets 101 million votes. Do you would you trust that at all? I didn't trust 2020, so
oh God have mercy on our country. That's how I feel. That's it. I sure hope that nothing even remotely close happens to that, because I think people will riot will be the kindest thing people do. I think it could get ugly.
Yeah, there are 161 million people registered to vote in the U.S. This is as of 2022. So that means that 156 million of those voted in the election. 156 million out of 161 million. I don't believe that at all. In Australia, I should ask Ben Wassey about this. From what I read, it's illegal not to vote. You actually get fined. You don't go to prison or anything. You actually get fined. You get fined $100 or something.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And the voter turnout in Australia is not even 100%. It's 92% or 90%. So some people just take the fine and just, or and there might be some circumstances like someone's super old, can't vote. I'm sure there are exemptions and stuff like that. But still, like in a country where you're legally required to vote and people don't, still like 10% of the country don't vote. Like you're telling me that 156 million out of 161 million voted. That's 97%. That's something's wrong there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
And if we get more votes than registered voters this year, which could happen, I don't know. Does that 160 million count for same day registration? Yeah, I'm just seeing it as of 2022, which is after the 2020 election. There were 161.42 million voters. So
it can get really ugly really fast. I mean, it could be, yeah.
Yeah. Sue, the 333 super chat. Thank you so much, Sue. He says Biden big boy presser tomorrow. The end. Is that? He has a press conference scheduled for tomorrow. Man, you think that's it for him tomorrow?
My guess is he's going to stay in. I think he's arrogant enough, man, and he's just coherent enough for that arrogance to rule his brain, and he's not coming to go anywhere. Like, or he's totally out of it. And his family, the Bidens, they don't want to give up power. Jill loves being in control. She loves running the show. Dr. Jill. She loves it.
Jill needs to go to the state dinners, man. Like, what's she gonna do? She gonna go to those fancy dinners.
Listen, the allure of power is once back in my 20s, I used to coach middle school basketball. I remember one year I was asked for a couple games to run the scoreboard for and I ran a scoreboard for a couple Saturdays in a row, and then they told me I didn't need me, and I just said no way, I'm gonna riot. I'm not gonna give up this power. I had the power to keep the score, and I was refusing. I'm not gonna let go. Once you have power, you're not let it go. If I refuse to let go of controlling the scoreboard in middle school, don't you think the Bidens are gonna hold on to the White House? I mean, come on, this is
that's why. So you need someone who doesn't want it. Like Jon Snow, I don't want it. Like he was the perfect king. And no, I feel
want the power.
See, I'm someone who I'd never want to be president, like ever. I just like the most I'd want to be is governor because like I do some like crazy crap. Like it wouldn't be about the power for me. It's just like I'd take us off the U.S. dollar. I'd go to Bitcoin. I'd ban the FBI, ban the CIA from ever entering the state. I do so much. I do it so much. Like they would try to assassinate me like instantly. I'd be out like faster than JFK. Yeah, that I don't know. Again, it wouldn't be for the power for me. I think I just try to make good changes for the better, but like super radical stuff, I'll never get.
I would not. I want the power. They gave me a buzzard when I did scorekeeping. They gave me a buzzard. You know how much power a buzzard is? I wasn't letting it go. I ran score with you every Saturday. I showed up. They were like, "Oh, we don't need you." Oh, I'll be here. I'll see you next time.
It's funny. So it also says if Biden drops out, think of all the phony ballots that have to reprint. Yeah. Well, I mean, they have plenty of money. They can do it. Kim McNeagle says Dems and the press have covered for this idiot for 3.5 years. The more stories that come out are how bad he is, the greater the chances they'll get him off the ticket. Yeah, they have covered for him a lot. Like they really have. So
that's the yeah. I should just shut up, Kenny. It's infuriating. Like it's at one end it's comical, but it's not comical. Like it's not funny. Like we're literally talking about the president of the United States. Like anyway, I should. Yeah.
Vegas to Texas.
I should just stick to implying that certain NFL players are child molesters.
Let me say, Cassandra, if you missed there. Bagley says Texas isn't going to be competitive this year, but will be eventually. It depends how many illegal immigrants come in. That's what happened to California. They just let in all the illegal immigrants, and it just became a blue state. Baggett says neither Trump nor Biden is going to come anywhere close to their 2020 numbers. Turnout is going to be much lower across the board. Yeah, especially if they can't fake all the votes. Like they had Steven Crowder did this. Like he went to a lot of like the addresses where the votes came from, and he did this for Nevada, Michigan, I forget another state. But like a lot of the addresses were like vacant buildings and like parking lots and alleyways, like where it's places where no one lived. And, like this is where their votes came from, you know. So yeah, Mike says no shutout for sure. Damn straight, no goose eggs for all. Thanks so much, Lou. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we got to that one. John says 20 states allowed you to register the day of the election. Okay. But still, it's like 156 million seems just like such a high number. Jill's keeping him in. Yes, absolutely. We talked about that for sure. Sue says his dementia at the debate destroyed press's credibility or what they've left. They come with daggers tomorrow to get it back. Yeah. I mean, to me, the press's credibility went away a long time ago. But there are people who still believe in it. I don't. One of my friends, you know, is a liberal, but like he wrote a book saying like the press is unbiased, and they're like, and his friends believe it. I'm like, I don't see how you can write that book if you've been paying attention to anything that's been happening. It's crazy to me.
I remember in 2008 when Chris Matthews was covering the DNC, the Democratic Convention, after Obama gave a speech, and he was on MSNBC. He was supposed to be the covering the event as a reporter. It was not a commentary section, and which they pretty much don't have any news anymore because it's all turned into commentary over there. Well, that's pretty much every station. But I literally remember Chris Matthews saying, when Obama was giving a speech, I had a thrill going up my leg, which one man should never say about another man.
True.
But then you have a thrill going at your leg. Like, that is just what? That's the weirdest thing to say. If you were a reporter covering a presidential candidate, like, I'm like, okay, you're clearly not objective when you're talking about thrills up your leg, weirdo Chris Matthews.
Yeah, Chris Matthews is a weirdo. So it says Governor Walt better open up available bookmakers in the state. Yeah, gambling completely legal. Rainmakers completely legal. Everything's legal. Everything's legal in my state. Mike says, as long as you're not hurting anyone, you know. Mike says, I still think you should run for president, Walt. You automatically get your website user votes and before you get even campaign. I don't want it. I don't want it. She's McQueen. I don't want it. I don't know. I don't want to be president. It's just like, I don't know. You have to make decisions like with other countries. I don't know. I'm super anti-war. So like, you know, I feel like I'd be like very quickly assassinated because I would like pull out of every war, you know? But yeah, it's like they JFK me very quickly. There it is. Yeah. The Matt Collins stuff. Kevin Gideon says, Cruz says Dems are spending millions to defeat him. I mean, yeah, they outspend a lot, which is significant given how much money Trump raised after he was a convicted felon. You know, he raised so much money off of that. It's insane. I don't think they realize that. Like, to me, I made this comparison before. I feel like Democrats, like the way they do stuff, it's kind of like Wile E. Coyote. Like he has these intricate plans where he gets like the anvil and the TNT and he tries to catch the Roadrunner, and like it all leads to him falling off a cliff or blowing himself up. And it feels like what Democrats do. Like they have these crazy plans. We're going to convict Trump. We're going to make him convicted felon. It's like, oh, okay, you actually helped him. Good job.
Yeah. That's a really funny metaphor, Callaway.
It's so similar. Mike says, when you're president, just be sure to outlaw soccer. So I'm like super libertarian. I would never like outlaw anything, but maybe soccer. Okay, Eagle says the press will, go look at daggers only if those are marching orders from the deep state. Yeah, they get these emails. They all say the same thing. You can tell. Like they all say sharp as attack. They all said it, and they got that email from DNC. Like say sharp as say sharp. They all say it. So. All right, so that's all the comments here, and we did all the stuff. We only have one thing to do, and that's to open our Rainmaker pack.
We got to open packs. Let's go.
Do you have a pack, or am I just opening it?
All right, let me see. I think I got. Let me see what I have here. I don't even remember what I have or don't have. Isn't that weird?
John says I'd freaking fundraise for you if you ran on the banned soccer platform. Okay, okay, I got it. All right, let's ban soccer. We don't need soccer here. Soccer is boring. Would you ban like just adult soccer? Or what about like if like kids soccer, if, like all of it? Okay, so I feel like it could help with your like foot coordination. You know what I mean? Like if you're a kid, like learning how to play sports.
You can do drills. You can do it. No. Don't give any credence to that nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, like my son is he's 2.5 officially now, and like I take him to swim lessons, but like he's gonna have to do some other sports soon, and like I feel like my wife might push soccer. I don't know. I'm gonna try to put my foot down on that, but I don't know. She might win out.
Neither one of them.
Fair enough. Yeah, Mike says me too. Mims makers. Yeah, for sure. But I'm opening up a rookie pack, so Mims can't be in
it. That's really good, actually.
Yeah. Vegas says soccer should be called handball because the goalie uses their hands sometimes. It's true.
That was good. At
least make it illegal to call football. Okay, yeah, that's for sure. For sure. It has to be called soccer. It irks me when people are like, football, it's like, come on. No, we're in America. This is not football. Even though you use more football. All right, do you have a pack to open, or am I just opening it? Okay.
I got one.
Okay.
Let me present my screen. And okay, what we got here? Here we go. Boom.
Ooh. All right, what do we got here?
All right. This is a I bought this pack for $3, I think.
Okay. I'm not seeing anything.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not loaded.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
So there's 3 cards, 223, 50% chance of a rare card.
Okay.
So, all right.
Well, let's hope we get a rare here. Still can't see anything. It's very exciting where you can't see anything.
Yeah, I don't know if that's rare or not, so we'll see. I guess we'll just okay, we're gonna have to just do this, I guess.
Oh wow. Wait, but which Josh Allen is it?
Oh, I don't know.
What if it's the other one? He actually changed his name.
Hold on. Okay, I got to go back to my portfolio now, I guess. Nuts. Okay, here we go.
Oh yeah, it is the right Josh Allen. There you go.
All right. For some reason, none of the images are loading on my.
Yeah, screen. That's weird. Yeah, you've made money on this pack. You said you bought it for $3.
Yeah, look at that. So I got Miller for 30 cents. He's worth about 30 cents. I got Chris Godwin, who we talked about. It's less than $1, but yeah, Josh Allen rare card. Top offers $4.40. I probably could sell this for $6 or $7 if I was wise, but I'll just keep it and utilize it. So
yeah,
I made money.
See, that's the I was talking about before how some players are superstars. You have that star with the S on it. Yeah, you can only use one superstar in a lineup, and you can't play it up, so you can't put that in an elite lineup. But yeah, you want a lineup to have one superstar, and so yeah, I mean Josh Allen is one of the best ones. So it's a good pack. You definitely at least doubled your money.
That's the best pack I've opened in a while.
Yeah. Johnson's 411. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your digital card.
You the man, John.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John, so much. I always say this. I think you'll enjoy Rainmakers if you tried it. But thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. L. Walt, soccer is great. Really fun to play too. I mean, it's definitely not fun to watch. Boring. Play. I've never really tried to play soccer. Like there's gym class in high school. I always struggled with it. My foot coordination is terrible. So I always sucked at it. So I never liked that. I want to use my hands. You know what I mean? Like I'm a man. I want to use my hands. I get women's soccer is better. Like women, they have more power in their legs. So I could women's soccer. I understand. What are your thoughts about women's soccer?
What are my thoughts about women's sports?
No, I mean I'm sure, but if you're talking about women's sport, obviously you have a daughter. I have a daughter. They're gonna play sports. Do you think?
No, not my daughter. My daughter's going to cook, bake.
Nice.
We uphold the patriarchy in the Ortiz home.
Nice.
All these people going around talking about down with the patriarchy. I'm always down. I'm down with the patriarchy. What do you mean?
Yeah, I know. I saw. I actually wrote this jerks of the week thing. It's not up yet. But I saw someone with like a bunch of like bumper stickers on their car, and like one said "down with the patriarchy," and so I was making fun of this person. Of course, like one of the stickers said "catitude" on it, and I was like, "Of course, this is a cat lady." So.
I mean, I on a funny. I mean, I'm being ridiculous, but like I'm like my wife is more patriarchal than I am. My wife is like, I mean, my wife hates feminism more than I do.
No, my wife, I think I said this in the show. My wife said to me, she's like, I wish they would repeal the 19th Amendment so I wouldn't have to vote. She's like, I trust you. You should make all the voting decisions for us. So, and I mean, like as a libertarian, I hate restrictions on stuff, but if you were to restrict something, the problem is it's like women can vote to send men off to war, and like they're not required to be in the draft. Like that's the issue. Like they have this right to vote without like having any obligations to society. You know what I mean? So I think that like I had like a 4-tier system. Like you have to meet like one of these requirements to vote, which is like you have to own property, you have to own a business, you have to be in the military / first responder, and you have to have kids that are not on welfare.
Well, I think there's a lot of women that could meet that meet one of those requirements or more.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, no, and they should be able to vote. But I feel like if you don't meet any of those requirements, I don't think you should be able to vote.
Right. Yeah. I can get down with that.
Yeah. Okay. So Bagley says soccer has the same problem as chess at the highest level of competition. It's so boring to watch because you're just waiting for one team to make a mistake. That's pretty fair. Yeah. I mean, chess is tough to watch too. Yeah, if you're playing, it's exciting, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm like Bagley, I'm like, yeah, I think chess is boring to watch too. So whether one team makes a mistake or not, I'm still think it's boring. So like I'm not waiting for a team to make a mistake, I'm waiting for it to be over.
It's funny, yeah. Yeah, like when I'm stuck, if I'm stuck watching soccer, like one time my dad was watching like the World Cup final or something, and I was at their house, and like I was like, man, I just can't wait for this to be over. It's so boring. So it says I took the afternoon off from everything to watch the Euro today. We'll disagree about that. I didn't even know. I don't know. Oh yeah, well, actually, we did get some betting.
Fight apparently to happen during it or something.
Right. I don't even know that. No, by the way, some guy, we had a commenter on Saturday who said to bet Spain on Tuesday, and Spain won. So congrats to whoever bet that. I completely forgot about it. Like it says, it's still not the worst sport in the world. That distinction goes to the inferior version of baseball for people who eat beans on toast, known as cricket. Ben Wassley was on talking about cricket, and he said that like some cricket games go on for days, like 6 or 7 days. That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I love that there's a sport that goes on for days. I've never watched cricket. I don't know anything about it, but I just love the fact that there's a sport that goes on for days. I think it's fantastic.
So Ben sent me some cricket videos, and I was like, I was watching for the first time. It's kind of crazy. It's like you just you try to hit home runs or something. You try to run back and forth. You hit the ball. You try to run back and forth multiple times. It's like, why don't you just play baseball? I don't know. It's so weird. John says, can they play soccer in the kitchen? Nice one.
Took me. That was like the layer. That was good.
Yeah. The boss saying it's been more boring to watch in the last 5 years because of tactics. The wide camera angle makes it a lot more boring because you don't get to see them move, or you're just watching them connect the dots. It was always boring to me. I don't know. But I actually haven't watched in the last 5 years, so it might even be more boring.
This is so good.
Cassandra says the fight was the Copa America. Come on, Kenny.
All right. Wait, there's more than one soccer event going on? I don't know.
I don't know what Copa America is. And Sue says, how about soccer and the wacky timekeeping when the clock runs out, they step extended time. Yeah, that was like, yeah, like the clock's out. Like, why are they still going? I never understood that.
I'm still laughing at John's comment. Can they play in the kitchen? Sorry. Oh gosh,
Uh,
man. Sorry.
Baggins says, I've got it. No one makes fun of my brother but me relationship with baseball. I rip on it as a football fan, but always defend it from Europeans voicing their dumb opinions about it. That's fair. I'm not a big baseball fan, but I can at least watch that.
I know you retired from baseball a couple years ago.
I have. I actually did a Rainmaker. Not Rainmaker. I did a DraftKings lineup tonight just because I was bored. I finished 194th, but out of 470, so I did not make the cash. All right, so let me. We have one more comment. Mike says, "Oh yeah, also be sure to ban curling before it even gets to the country." It's only in the Olympics, like once every 4 years.
I played curling once in Canada. It was actually kind of fun.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never played it, but
over 20. It's like over 20 years ago. I went to long story why I was in Canada, but anyway, it was fun.
I've never been to Canada. All right, so I want to see what the last person opened. So they opened up all cores. So I have a chance here. So yeah, let's. This is the same thing as you. So you can see this, right? Yeah, it's on the screen here.
The images were not loading on mine. I don't know why.
It's weird. So yeah, I have a 50% chance of getting a rare, and this is rookies. So you have Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Caleb Williams, Jane Daniels. Those are the top four. So all right, let's open this. By the way, I've been doing some golf pack openings every Sunday night. Oh, 3 cores. Although last week we got Marvin Harrison Jr. at least. So yeah, I've been doing some golf pack openings, and I'll continue to do them. I think it's pretty fun. I've not gotten anything good ever since I started doing them, but yeah, you can watch those videos on the channel too. All right, first one is Brian Thomas Jr. I kind of like him. I think there's a lot of potential with him, so could be worse.
What did you pay for this pack? Did you say it?
$24, which given that I did not get a rare, I will not be making the back. Even Harrison is like $7. You have to get a rare to get it back. So we'll see. I could lose most of my 24 here, but all right, the second card is hopefully something good. Michael Penix Jr. Probably the worst card you can get, although might be McCarthy at this point because it sounds like Sam Darnold's going to start week 1. And Penix, if Cousins is hurt, he might get a chance to play.
Why would they start Darnold? There's nothing to gain from starting a guy like Sam Darnold.
But Kenny, the Vikings might be good this year. No,
I'd rather start your sister over.
Oh man, that's I don't know. It's pretty insulting for I mean, like with Darnold, I don't know. You might be right. He's just that bad. Anyway, our third one. Let's hope this is not a crappy one because this might be the worst pack we ever opened on here. JJ McCarthy. I was like, yeah, you can only get one thing worse. Of course, it's McCarthy.
This is pretty bad. I don't think it's the worst. I think we've opened worse.
This might be the worst pack we've opened.
This is pretty bad.
How much do you think I made back from the $24? Maybe $3 at most.
Yeah, Brian Thomas is probably like $1.80, maybe $1.30.
Yeah, let's see. Let's look at the portfolio and see and cry about the 24. All right, Brian Thomas Jr. $2. Yeah. McCarthy $2.85. Why is he more than Brian Thomas? That makes no sense. And Penix is cheaper, so $1.45. So we're looking at $4.85 plus $1.45. That's about $6.20, $6.30, $6.30. So I lost $18 on that pack opening. So
excellent.
Yeah, I think that might be the worst pack we've opened. Maybe we had a lower percentage. We had a lower percentage loss or a higher percentage loss. But at least those are higher end packs, where we got something decent. Whereas this is all garbage. Although Thomas, I think Thomas could be pretty good this year. Yeah, but it's still only a core card. So yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's see. Do you have any comments before we head out? Baggy says curling doesn't belong in the Olympics, but it's still a cool sport. I mean, there's a lot of weird things in the Olympics. Like walking is the Olympics. I don't know. It could be even worse. There's synchronized swimming. Why? It's not a sport. It's just an event. Welcome to Federal Reserve pack. I did so bad. Baggy says the Darnold has finally been freed from the clutches of critical gaze theory. the liberal Huel media and the Brock Hussein Purdy. Yeah, so maybe it's his time to shine for sure. But I have my doubts. So anyway, that is it for the show. Thanks guys for watching. Please hit like, subscribe, comment, follow, share this video. Visit the link in the description of the merch store. Kenny, do you want to shout anything out? Maybe thecapsfake.com.
Yeah, thecapsfake.com website explaining that the cap is fake. The NFL cap is fake, that is. Yeah, lots of articles, nothing brand new, nothing super new coming out, but lots and lots of fun articles on there. So if you believe the cap is real, please allow me to help you illuminate your mind at thecapsfake.com.
Yeah, lots of good articles in there. Check out thecapsfake.com. Can't Make An Eagle says Scottish Open coverage starts at 6 a.m. on the East Coast on the Golf Channel. Yeah, if you haven't gotten your Scottish Open bets in, it starts at 2 a.m. because they're in Scotland. So 28 minutes, 27 minutes now. So yeah, get your bets in if you haven't done that already. I like Rory to win again. I also like Ludwig Aberg and Victor Hovland is my top three guys. But there are also two other long shots. I have 100-1 long shot on Nikolai Hoiberg and another bet. So check that out on the site. I have my picks there. But yeah, good luck to you guys betting that. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be discussing. Remember, we had the Omnifera on a couple weeks ago for the debate, and we said, oh, we're going to get to TV shows. We talked about politics the entire time. So we're going to talk about The Boys and House of the Dragon. So and maybe some other stuff too. Maybe we'll go back into politics as well. So we'll be back tomorrow with the Omnifera and then Saturday with Tom. So so we're gonna have a couple episodes left this week. Next week, as I've been saying, no show on Thursday because I'll be flying to Vegas, but we will have a show on Saturday. So yeah, guys, once again, thank you so much for watching, commenting, and especially thank you to John with the 411 and Sue with the 333 super chats. That's right. Really appreciate you guys. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys for the continued support. It means so much. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then.
You man, Walt.